Margaret wiped down the corner table by the window, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. At 62, her hands weren't as steady as they used to be, but she took pride in her work at the corner cafe. The tips weren't much, but they helped her get by since Robert had passed. The bell above the door chimed softly. A man shuffled in, perhaps in his late 50s, wearing clothes that had seen better days. His dark hair was slightly unkempt, and several days' worth of stubble covered his face. But it was his eyes that caught Margaret's attention. Tired, yes, but there was something else there. A quiet dignity, perhaps, or maybe just exhaustion. He hesitated near the entrance, looking around the nearly empty cafe. His weathered jacket hung loose on his frame. "Come in, dear," Margaret called gently. "Sit anywhere you like." He chose a table near the window, away from the other customers. Margaret approached with her notepad, her sensible shoes barely making a sound on the old floorboards. "What can I get for you today?" she asked kindly. He looked up at her and she noticed the faint shadows under his eyes. "Just water, please. Thank you." Margaret's heart squeezed. She'd been there herself, counting pennies, wondering where the next meal would come from. She glanced toward the kitchen, then back at him. "You know," she said softly, "we have a special today. Coffee and a sandwich. It's already made up in the back. Won't do anyone any good if it just sits there." "I can't," he began. "Nonsense. It's going to waste otherwise. You'd actually be helping me out." He looked at her for a long moment, and she saw his eyes glisten slightly. "That's very kind of you." Margaret brought him a hot coffee and a turkey sandwich. She didn't hover, didn't make a show of it. Just set it down with a warm smile and moved on to her other tables. When he finished and stood to leave, he approached the counter where she was organizing receipts. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You have no idea what this meant to me." "We all need a little help sometimes," Margaret replied, patting his hand. "You take care now." He nodded and left, the bell chiming softly behind him. The next afternoon, Margaret was refilling the sugar dispensers when the bell chimed again. She looked up and froze. A man in a beautifully tailored navy suit stood in the doorway. His hair was neatly combed, his face clean-shaven, and he wore a crisp white shirt with a blue tie. It took her a moment to recognize him. "Oh my," she whispered. He walked directly to her, a warm smile on his face. "Hello again, Margaret." She glanced at his name tag, confused. "I'm sorry, Yesterday. The sandwich. The coffee." Margaret's hand went to her heart. Oh, dear. "You look so different," he smiled. "May I sit with you for a moment?" They settled at the corner table, and he folded his hands on the worn surface. "My name is Thomas. Thomas Hartwell, and I need to tell you something. Something I should have said yesterday, but I wasn't in a good place." Margaret waited, her weathered hands clasped together. "I own this building, Margaret, this cafe, the apartments above, 3 other buildings on this street. But yesterday I was at the lowest point of my life." He paused, gathering his thoughts. 6 months ago, my daughter died. Car accident. She was only 34. My wife and we couldn't," his voice caught. "We separated. Couldn't bear to look at each other without seeing her face. I let everything go. Stopped caring about the business, stopped caring about myself." Margaret reached across and gently touched his hand. "Yesterday morning, I'd made a decision. A final one, I thought. What's the point? But then I walked by this cafe and something made me come in. And you treated me like a human being, not with pity, but with simple kindness. You didn't ask questions. You just saw someone who needed help." Tears slipped down Margaret's cheeks. "You reminded me that there's still goodness in this world," Thomas continued. "That people still care about each other. Your kindness. It wasn't just a meal, Margaret. It was hope when I had none left." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. "This is the deed to the cafe. I'm signing it over to you. You've been working here for what, 15 years? It should be yours. I can't—" Margaret began, shaking her head. "Please, let me do this. Let me honor my daughter's memory by doing something good. She would have liked you. She had your kindness." Margaret looked at this man, broken, rebuilding, trying to find his way back to life. And she understood. This wasn't about charity. This was about healing. About two people who needed each other at exactly the right moment. Thank you, she whispered. And Thomas, your daughter would be proud of you. Coming back from darkness like this, that takes real courage. He smiled then, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. I'm going back into treatment. Grief counseling. I'm going to do the work. But I wanted you to know that you saved a life yesterday. You truly did. They sat together in the warm afternoon light, two souls who had found hope in the simplest act of kindness. Outside, the city moved on, but inside the corner cafe, two hearts were healing, reminded that sometimes all it takes is one moment of compassion to change everything. Margaret looked around her cafe now, and felt Robert's presence somehow, approving, smiling. Life had a way of surprising you even at 62, even when you thought you'd seen it all. The bell chimed as another customer entered, and Margaret stood, smoothing her apron. There was work to do, and life to live, and kindness to share, always kindness to share.